I'm Ashlee and today I'm going to teach you how to make your own flour tortillas at home. They're warm, they're fresh, they smell amazing, they're not that hard. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our other recipe videos, and let's get started. So this is going to be a really fast recipe today because these are actually super easy to make. The most time-consuming part is actually rolling out all of the tortillas. Making the recipe is super easy, cooking them is super easy, so really the rolling out is the most time-consuming part. I definitely advise doing this with a couple of people because you can get it done really fast that way. So the first thing we're going to do is add all the flour. We're going to add the baking powder and the salt and give that a stir. Measure out the shortening, but we don't want to just plop this entire thing in. What we're going to do is take little bits of it and put that in. Now we're going to take a pastry cutter and cut the shortening into the flour. And you want to keep cutting that until you get pretty fine crumbs. Now we're going to add some water and mix the dough with our hands. Now you want the water to be as hot as you can possibly stand it without being unable to put your hands in the mixture. We're not going to add all of it because depending on your altitude and your humidity level, you'll need entirely different amounts of water. So we'll use probably up to this, but we're just going to start with a little bit at a time. And it's more about getting the consistency right than following the recipe amounts exactly. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit more. All right, so once the dough is all together, you wanna take it out of the bowl, put some flour on your surface, and we're gonna knead it for about 5 minutes. Now, the reason that you need dough isn't just to incorporate all the ingredients evenly together, it's actually also to stretch the gluten. That's gonna give us the right pull that we need as we roll out these at the end. If you don't knead it enough, you're gonna have a hard time getting your tortillas stretched and thin enough so they won't just spring back and turn into super fat tortillas where we want larger, thinner flour tortillas. Once you've kneaded it for 5 minutes, we're gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes and then knead it again, rest, knead, until you get it just right. Mine is still having ripping. When you rip it, it still is kind of jagged. So I obviously need to knead and rest again. If you find that your dough is just still not softening the way you want, it might mean that you didn't add enough water. So go ahead and get your hands wet and knead the dough. And just keep getting your hands wet kneading the dough if you feel like maybe that's your problem. You want this to, at the end of the third knead probably, to be nice and stretchy without rips. I find that I usually do the knead, rest, knead, rest about 3 times. Nice and soft. Look at that. Look how soft that looks. That's looking good. I just did our final knead, and now I'm actually going to cut these into like 1-inch balls. Lightly flour your surface again. And take one of the balls that's rested, and you're gonna just start rolling it out. You don't ever want to roll in the same direction more than once, otherwise you will lose your circle. So you just want to roll and turn and roll and turn and roll and turn. And there you have it, nice and thin. Now you want to heat up a pan, but dry. You don't want to put anything in this. And then just place your tortilla on it. And then flip it over. And, oh, hot. There you have it. Now something to remember. This seems really thin. I know that you're looking at this going, that's too thin to be a tortilla. But remember, there's baking powder in this recipe, and these actually do get a little bit fluffy. As you can see, that's much thicker than we rolled it out. Now, as you cook your tortillas, I keep mine wrapped in some foil to keep them warm. Just open it up, toss in a new one, then close it back up. And now you have this nice, lovely stack of warm homemade tortillas. Oh, it smells so good. Now, when we were living in Japan, I couldn't get tortillas or Mexican food, period. So I brought over a bunch of the spices with me, and then I learned to make these tortillas from scratch when I was over there. Now, since we've been back, I don't really make them all that often, but I really should, because as you can see, they're not that hard, and we go through a ton of tortillas. It would definitely save me some money to go back to making myself. And honestly, they're just so good fresh. They're so worth it. It just doesn't get any better than a warm, soft tortilla, right? So Comment box down below. Let me know what your favorite thing to put on tortilla is. I personally just like eating them plain when they're fresh. I like putting some butter and cinnamon and sugar on them. Probably my favorite thing to do though is fajitas. There's something about fajitas. But I also, of course, enjoy a really good enchilada or burrito, or of course, you can also see the video for my cheesecake chimichanga that I also use flour tortillas for. This would be perfect for that. Totally gonna add some cinnamon to this next time and use that for my cheesecake chimichanga and add that extra layer. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you give it a try. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.